that's fine. Just switch my screen so you can sort of see my screen. Okay. That's your case. Can you see my screen? Okay, excellent. All right, so yeah, the mesh structure looks all right. It's a good idea for you maybe to watch a bit of the model design videos because that'll give you an understanding of the mesh structure, you know, because we can work in edit mode in Blender, so we get to see all the vertices and, you know, all of that stuff. So have a look and see how that goes. So what I'm going to do is, you can see here you've got the green and the red line, that's the X and the Y axis. In Blender, you've got a little cursor here. Basically, with the eyebrow, we want to start with it in the correct Blender space. So on your keyboard, there's a little like a tilde key, it looks like that. And that's very useful, and download the shortcuts that we've got, because you'll need this tilde key quite a lot, because when I go tilde key, it brings up this menu over here. And basically I want to see it from the front side, okay? And now you can see your hybrids going to the other side. And that's not a good starting point. What we want to do is we want to shift to the right starting point. And this is where we go into the model designer here. So there's two menus, one on the left and then one on the right side. The one on the left you can toggle with the T key, and the one on the right side you toggle with the N key. And here you'll see all these menus, and all of our modules are installed on these tabs here. So the N key. Then the model designer is, you'll see the names over here. So this one is the model designer, here models, and we want to go to the aligning to center, okay? So I'll just drag this open a bit. And so we need to give this thing a name. At the moment, it's called test one. The scripting needs to know what object we are working. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say enter target, and it's going to change its name. So now it's called target. We can see it in a few locations, we can see target. Now, then what we're going to do is we're going to plot 4 points. So the objective to plot these points is so we can align it to the center. Now, you're going to select it, okay, select it, and then you're going to place your cursor. So to do that, you just go shift down and then right click. So you can place the cursor anywhere. That's that little red and white cross here. Now I'm sort of selecting, I'm trying to get a square or rectangle or something symmetrical. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on 4 points, okay? Now the shortcut key for that is P. You can just use P on the keyboard. If you get stuck, look at the tooltips at the bottom. Oh, I've got my German tooltips. Doesn't matter, yours will be in English. Then what we're going to do is we've got 1 point, and it'll tell you you can duplicate it by using Shift D. That's just a shortcut to duplicate it. Or alternatively, you can do the same thing, put a cursor there. So what I do usually is I just go Shift D on the keyboard, and I'm plotting like a symmetry type of thing. You know, so I can calculate the center of this shape. Right? So we need not 3, but we need 4. And then click on line. So what that does, it plonks it to the center of the. So if yours, it takes the shortest route. So if it is upside down, all you need to do is you need to just swap it around on the axis, because this is the y-axis. It's looking straight at us. The red is the x, and the blue is the z-axis. And then you would just flip it around, you see? Okay, so this is where we want the eyebrow to start, with the teeth going up. Okay, so that's a must. Now I'm just having a look. You've got these little bits and pieces in between. Are those the contacts? Okay. Yeah, okay. So we can't start like that because we need all of this joined up in one mesh. Are you using 3Shape to do this? Oh, serpentine. Is there a possibility of connecting these things up to your hardware and making it one piece, or not really? These are open mesh connectors. So what we desperately need to do, we need to unify this, okay? Because we can't make a bar with these. It needs to be one object. So I think the best thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these. So select all of them, and we're going to select the inverse. So I'll show you in the outliner. So if you take your cursor up to the top right hand side, it turns to a cross. Then you can drag these windows open. You can drag as many windows open as you want, and you can close them down in 45 degrees. I'll send you the video, so if you don't take in all of that, that's okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go in this window, and this is the outliner, so it tells us whatever is on the left-hand side. So it's just basically all the objects and all of we call them collections. So it's just a bit like Photoshop, where you've got all the layers. These are like layers. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going to shift left click to select all of these here. And then I'm going to go Control I, we'll select the inverse, and we're going to go X, and we're going to delete it. Okay. Now we are left with only your crowns and the ones with the holes. Now, what we need to do, we need to unify them to each other. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this one and this one. So this is going a bit outside the module, because usually what we do is we start with a hybrid with an alternate. So it's all in one piece. So what we want to do is we want to go now. So this is outside the module, but I'm just showing you how I would deal with it. So we're going to go to edit mode. We're going to go to bool tools. Now, bool tools is where you can make a Boolean union or difference or what. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can do a few in one go. Sometimes it doesn't work depending on the mesh geometry. I'm going to click on union. Okay, so this one worked. And I can tell if it worked. If I go into transparent mode, this is a transparent mode icon. And if I look at it, I can see the mesh structure. I can see these like holes. They join. You can see it. Can you see? Okay. So basically, what I want to do is I want to join. I won't take all of them because I don't want anything to go wrong. So this one is fine. Okay, it's joined up. Yeah, perfect. Not a problem. I'm going to just, if they are spaced apart, of course, they wouldn't join, if you know what I mean. So that's fine, that's joined. We'll just select these, the union. So I'm clicking on union, okay? So that's all one object. Okay, so this is a transparent icon. Now I've got to assess whether I've got enough space for a bar. And I'll go back to transparent mode, because when I say space, we need sufficient space on the inside, because like here, for example, if you have a look at this opening here, I mean, how are you going to put a bar in? You won't. Yeah, and even like here, okay, there's no space to put a bar. Okay, so I've got to make a decision. Maybe you can do that when you're designing the software to to make the connectors. What if you can unify with serpentine, that would be good. If you can't, then I'll show you what. So now that we've got one object, we're going to go down here where it says in the model designer, we're going to go to cut, fill, patch, and sculpt. Okay, so at the bottom here, there's a sculpt tool. I'm going to click on that sculpt tool. I'm going to right click and I'm going to set this radius up a little bit. And we're going to make more space inside of this eye. So as I'm doing this, yeah, I'm actually theoretically creating more space. You can see on the inside how it's created space. Okay. So here, let's just do this. And now, when you do this, can you see how much space I've created? There's a massive void in between. And this is what we need in order to make a bar in between. So I'll just go out of transparent mode. Now, when you're using the smooth tool, you've got to be very careful. You don't want to touch your geometry, because if you do this, you're stuck, okay? So I'm just going to go Control Z back. Now, okay, so we're just going to, we've got it one object, and we're going to smooth it down and make space on the inside. That's looking good. Now you can see South Africa. From Johannesburg. I went to Wits Tech back at the time. Yeah. And I went to the army as well. To the military. So where are you from? Ah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Is it Gepard? Is it Gepard? So while I'm sculpting, you can see the mesh structure is a certain size. If you want it smoother, move to this one, and the higher you go, the smoother it becomes. The lower you go, the rougher it becomes. Okay. So here you can see, so if I go 6 here, it becomes smoother. So the higher I go, the smoother it becomes. Okay. So yeah. So Serpentine, are you quite, well, you've been working with it for a very long time. Have you got the equipment as well? Excellent. Okay, so we've worked through that. That's good. Now I'm going to exit spot, and we can see now on the inside, we've probably got heaps of space. Yeah, we've got enough space now to work on the inside. All right, you can see how big the openings seem to be big enough. All right, we're going to save this project. File, save as, I'll just call it Mike. All right, now we're going to go to the iBar module. So we've prepared, okay, and we've got it in the center. We're going to now, we need to name it. So start to name hybrid, and that's going to change color. And just to acknowledge that now you've called it hybrid, it says hybrid. We're going to look at the I don't know how your navigation is with Serpentine, so it may be a bit different. Like the scrolling is a wheel, shift and the wheel down is pan, and then to roll is just with the mouse wheel. You just kick the mouse wheel down to roll. Okay. Okay, so here we're going to make tubes, and we use the G key. So this is another thing. when you watch the videos, it will tell you, and you've got a shortcut key list. Luckily, they're quite easy to remember. So you place the cursor, shift right click, and then you click on Make Tubes, and then you use the G key to grab, G to grab. And you're just going to place it down. So what we're doing is we're looking from the top down. Okay, so I'm navigating, and I'm not putting my cursor at the bottom here. I'm trying to put it up at a high spot. And that's for a reason, I'll tell you in a minute. So here, G key, like that. Go to the next one. Okay, make tube from the top view. Okay. Now these tubes are designed to protect the inside mesh geometry. Okay, so here we've got our tubes. We're going to look at, and this is why I put it on a high spot. Otherwise, the tubes would be on the inside if I had clicked it here. So this is about 2 or 3 millimeters above the hybrid. And that's why we put the cursor. So, okay, so from here, what we're going to do is we can select all of them, go to Edit Tubes, and we're going to put this. This is made up of 3 vertices, 1, 2, and 3. The bottom, the middle vertice, you're going to pull up on this arrow to about here. That's where your screw head lies in. The purpose for that is because we want to have the screw head strong material like metal or whatever. You don't want it to. This one we're going to move up as well, like that. So do that to all of you. Like that. Up. Okay. The next thing, have you got angles in these things? Are there angles? There's a slight angle. Slightly, but that's okay. So then you're going to select the bottom and you're going to go Control A on your keyboard. And that will tell you in English at the bottom of the tooltip. So that will be like, these appear there for 100 seconds. So you've got lots of time to read it. Now the purpose for this is we want to get this more or less parallel to our multi-unit abutment. So if you look at the multi-unit, we want the walls of it to be more or less parallel, because what we're doing is we're making another multi-unit abutment over the top of it. That makes sense. Okay. All right, so from here, we're going to make cones. Now the blue tubes protect the inside, and the cones will be the new multi-unit abutment, because if I look at it, we want these to be over the top of it. Okay, so if we're making a bar, for example, if the bar comes at the bottom here, we want this to stick out the top of the bar so that we've got another multi-unit abutment over the top of it. If that makes sense. Okay. All right, so from here, this is also, you can toggle transparent mode, X-ray mode. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we're going to create mask detection. Now, in this case, we don't really need to do anything, but in some cases, you want to edit your hybrids. Say, for example, you are too thin somewhere, or you've got concave areas or something. Sometimes I get these really horrific looking hybrids. So then this is a section where you can now smooth it, and your screw holes become unchanged. You see, so it's like a protection. Yeah, and here, for example, I want to smooth to get a good, when we put the bar over across it, we want to have the geometry to, let's just make this a bit finer, like a good surface to jump from one tooth to the next. I don't know if I'm making sense. Yeah. Okay, so when you finish, go exit, and then we're going to start designing. Okay, so this just takes a while because it's thinking on the new mask detection. All right, so we're going to place our cursor, shift right click to place the cursor. I'm going to click on draw. All right. So here we are now going to draw our design across. Now you can hide your cones here, hide in your tube, so you can hide it. These are hiding buttons. Okay? So basically what I want to do is I want to design the bottom piece of my of my eye-bar. Now, because you've got these ridges, it's not ideal to have these very, deep like crevices. If you can smooth those down as much as you can, that will just help, any failure of it. But I'll demonstrate in a minute why I'm saying that. Now here what I want to do is I want to make sure that I don't have sharp edges, so I don't want to see something like that. Okay, so we want to keep everything nice and round, and smooth. Everything's smooth. And also I've got to think, this meeting is about to run out a few minutes, because I think it's a 45 or an hour or something. I can always send you another Zoom link. And here what we're doing is we're just going to design our structure. Now it is important that you think about space as well. So you need enough. Okay. And then you're going to either click here and then F, or you're going to click fuse over here. And that fuses the two. Now, you've got to make sure that you've got enough space between, because otherwise you're going to end up with a very thin structure. So if I measure this, for example, if I measure from here to there, it's only 4 millimeters. Yeah. So once we extrude it up and we're trying to angle it, how much do we have left? Does that make sense? So we always have to. Yeah, so that's right. So that's correct. That's exactly my thought as well. So if you bring that up, we're going to end up with more space. Okay. So I'll just move that up just a little bit. That should be okay. Now, when you go up like that, I don't want this to be a sharp incline. Always try and keep things like shallow and smooth if you can. Okay. All right. I'm just going to save this file. Okay. Save. You can save over here. We're going to click Make Basic Design. Now we're looking at it from the top view, so from the Z-axis view, and you're going to roll the mouse so that the silhouette of your teeth sort of go halfway, because we want to extrude this into our hybrid. And then you're going to click on Extrude. What that does, it extrudes it towards the top, the Z-axis, and this here now is a cutting tool. So if I go up, you can see the object. If you go too far down, it'll disappear because it's cut. There's like an invisible box on the top of this cutting tool. Okay. I'm going to look at it from the right-hand side, and we're going to use the R key. The R key just to angle this a little bit. And here what we want to do is we want to then cut it. So if you cut it too low, you're going to damage it. So don't cut it too low. We can always go lower later. Then I'm going to click Cut Design. Now the next few buttons we can toggle. So we can go up, we can go down. Now I'm going to look at where the screw channel is here. So we don't want this to be up where the screw channel comes over, because we need enough thickness. So I'm going to make it down so that there's still sufficient thickness here. And here you can see the purpose of the cones, because they are our new multi-unit buttons. It gives us that angle that we need and the thickness that we need. Okay? Then what we can do is we can angle this bar if we want to make it a bit thin on top. Now you see that's what happens, is because, so I'll just go back a few steps. That happens if the vertices overlap each other. So here, if I angle and they're too close, you can relax them. So if you click on relax, then you can relax it, and then you can continue to angle further. Okay. So assuming we are okay with our design, we're going to then remesh it, okay? So it's a bit high here, but we can always design it further. So this, we call this a basic design. From there, we're going to click remesh. And what this remesh does, it unifies all of your little yellow cones to your basic design, the one that you've just seen. And it creates a cutter, like a cutting tool. Okay. This just takes a bit of time, depending on your computer speed. There's a lot of things going on. So just wait. Okay, so here we've got the cut. The sharp edges have also been rounded because we don't want any sharp edges. You'll see this cutter, it jots out a little bit on the outside of the hybrid, and so it must, because otherwise it's not going to cut through your hybrid. Okay. Now you're going to select it and you're going to go edit. And in edit mode, we can see, here's a problem. Okay. Now we need to reach compromise between putting mesh geometry on the outside or moving this cutter on the inside. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at it from the top, and then we're going to use the G key and the mouse wheel, which we call proportional editing. That's that little icon up on the top, and we can manipulate this mesh. Now you have to make sure, and with logic prevailing, we don't want to make undercuts. So you're not going to move the mesh in the middle or something. Also, you're not going to move this mesh on the outside, because otherwise you're going to create undercuts. We don't want that. So an alternative is to look at it like 45 degrees and then push it by 0.7 millimeters inwards. So that's like taking your thumb and you're just pushing it in. So that is an alternative as well. Okay. So I'll just do this. So if you look at it carefully, your silhouette comes here and your bar now is being pushed inwards. Okay. So we're going to look for another spot coming up here. Okay. We're going to just pull that. Not yet. No, what it does, it's got a bar now and it's a minimum thickness. And you can view the minimum thickness when you go on the heat map. So if you click on the heat map here, you'll see that 0.7 is the mark, the green is 0.7. Okay. So you don't want anything thinner than that. So the heat map is really important because it's like a live heat map. So as you're moving the mesh, you'll see the spaces disappear, if you know what I mean. So yeah. So if I move it, you can see how it moves and it disappears, which means you've actually moved it away from your hybrid shell. Okay. So here I'll leave this on purpose, this spot. Okay, so I won't move that. Okay. So we're going to go object mode. And you can see how this cutter tool comes on the outside of it. Okay. But now also you've got to think about sharp edges and smoothing and so on. So here what I'll do is I'll just go into smooth mode, right click, and make sure that you don't have sharp edges. So just smooth it down. The dark area means it's protected. It's protected area. Okay. All right, so we've got that done. Our cut is basically ready. We're going to go to the next one. I'll just save here. Safety zone. So what the safety zone does, it adds 0.7 millimeters over the top of it. So this is ×2. So it's 1.4. If you change it, if you're thinking you need your hybrid to be thicker, you just put this to say 1.6, which would be 0.8. Now you see these green bits here. That means it's going to add this material over the top of it. So in cross-section mode, if I look in cross-section, there's an object inside there, yeah? And it's going to then add this material over the top of it, okay? So we're going to then just click on here, accept this. And then this will then correct the thickness of the hybrid. Okay, so it's going to just paste a little bit of mesh geometry over the top, as you can see here. So it's thickened it up, and it's thickened it up on the side as well. Okay. So I'll just keep on saving. So in case you make a mistake, you can open it up, and the files are going to be in the same directory where you first saved it. So the final step is we're going to add cement spacer. And this is something you have to work out, how much cement space you need. I'm not sure. Some people swear about 0.13, so it all depends on your equipment, I guess. And then you click on separate. Okay. So then you click